The youngest of the 7 siblings is Joyce Elizabeth, Embry and Annie Bell's third daughter.
I was born up on top of the mountain above the Margaret Camp in September the 26th, 1934, and I was the 7th child of 8 of Embry and Annabelle Wilson. I remember from very early in my life on top of that mountain, waking up real early in the morning and going out on the back porch at that time, which the house now, that's the front porch when you go up there, because they built a road in the back of the house. But Daddy would be out there on Sunday morning. He'd have everybody's shoes and he'd be cleaning them up, getting us ready to go to church, every Sunday morning. And you could look out over the mountains and it was sparkling. The air was so clear you could see for as far as your eyes could reach, and it was beautiful. And I enjoyed living on top of the mountain. And Daddy had a little farm that was about 9 acres, and we raised a garden and had a few fruit trees and had a cow and chickens and pigs and all that, so that helped out in what we ate. During my early years, I lived on one side of Bud about a block for a year or so, and then we moved about a block the other way, and lived there for the next, Mother and them did the next 40-something years.
Well, first time I seen her was when she was about 8 years old, and she had an older sister named Bobby. And Bobby and my sister, Dorothy, were good friends, and they was all the time in and out of the house. And Joyce was coming along right with them, so that's the first time I met her. But then after I came back and finished high school, well, we closely associated in high school.
Well, he came down to the house supposedly to see Orville for a couple of years, and everybody kept teasing me, saying that he was really coming to see me, and I didn't like that. I was real bashful. So if I saw him coming in the front door, I'd go out the back and go up to Peggy Bones for a long time. Bobby and Jimmy and Orville and Meryl got married in October of '53, and then Bud and I were married in May the 30th of 1953 then. David was born in Bessemer General Hospital, and he was very, very sick. He had double pneumonia when he was born. We didn't expect him to live, but he grew up to be a real healthy little chunky boy, and very intelligent, which the doctors told us to begin with that he would not be, but he ended up, when he graduated from high school, got all kinds of honors. When David was born, Bud was in college. And we had a rough 2 years, him going to school, because during these years I didn't think a woman worked. She stayed at home and taking care of the babies no matter how bad. You stayed home with your babies. So I stayed at home, and we made do on what he got from the GI Bill and the little part-time job he had at Hercules. And so then he graduated from college, and he went to work at U.S. Steel, and so we had Donald then. Shortly after he graduated from college, he graduated in 1955. Donald was born in 1956. And by this time, we had rented an apartment. We're living in Hueytown, Alabama. And Donald was born at Lloyd Nolan Hospital in Fairfield. So we got out and found us a house back in Hueytown on Hardy Road, a little 2-bedroom, living room, dining room, kitchen house. Had a nice yard, and we loved it over there, and we lived there about 4 years, and then Bud got laid off from U.S. Steel. And by this time, we moved to Hardy Road in May, and Dwight came along August the 31st. We had 2 boys, and we decided we wanted a girl. So we had another child, and he was another boy. And then Bud got out of work, and we moved to Opelika, Alabama, because he had went to work down there. And the kids started to a school down there called Northside Elementary, and by then we had Beth. 2 2 years after Dwight was born, Beth came along, and she was really an accident. But I think the Lord knew what he was doing, because she's always been such a blessing, and their only little girl. And so anyway, when Beth was 2, we moved to Opelika. So Granddaddy Wilson came to see us quite often during those years after he retired, and he would take Dwight to kindergarten for us. So the first day that he took Dwight to kindergarten, Dwight gave him directions. Remember, Dwight was 5. And so the next morning, Granddaddy thought it was so cute that Dwight could give such good directions. He asked him again, said, "Now, Dwight, how do you go?" And Dwight said, "Granddaddy, if you had just listened yesterday, you'd know which way to go today." And so Daddy told that from then on till he died. We had some busy years during those teen years because we were constantly on the go, and we got very involved in church. Went to Liberty Baptist Church, and all 6 of us sang in the choir. And we were active in WMU, and Bud got to be a deacon, and we just about lived at the church for a lot of years. And went to work for Diversified Trucking Corporation, part of Diversified Products, and worked there for 11 years in trucking. By that time, David had married Shirley in 1978, July the 1st, 1978. And they both were commissioned in the Air Force shortly the day after they graduated. And then Dwight married Suzanne Kennedy. David and Dwight both got stationed in Missouri together, and they were there for about 2 years at the same base, which was very nice for us. And Dwight and Suzanne had married Lee. She was our first grandchild, and that was very, very exciting. We went up there thinking that she'd already be there, and she was a little bit late, and so we got there one afternoon, and that night Suzanne went to the hospital, and we had us a little grandchild, a little girl we were so proud of. Donald got his BS in chemical engineering from Auburn University in June of 1979. And Donald went on to school some more and got a master's in chemical engineering in March of 1982. Beth was in Southern Union, and then she went on to UAB. Beth became a certified occupational therapist assistant. And by that time, she'd been dating Wayne Hamby for about 6 years in all. Beth and Wayne were married April 7th, 1984. And so we had a good time, had a fairly large wedding for them, and really enjoyed it. Got everybody we could involved. And at the present time, Beth and Wayne's still in Birmingham. Dave and Shirley is midways between California, where they've been for 7 years, and going back to Missouri again, still in the Air Force. And Dwight and Suzanne are stuck out in Clovis, New Mexico. And we're still in Opelika.